All right, so can you give us your name and what you do for a living?
My name is DeWayne Butler. I am a professional auctioneer in the state of Indiana.
What kinds of things do you collect?
I like to collect pictures of things I've bought and sold, but normally I like to buy and sell, collect art, anything related to an artisan who's created something personally with their hands, brought it to life, made it something important. So,
How do you come about the items that you do collect? I mean, how do you obtain those particular items?
Oh, a number of ways. I can get them directly from the people who've purchased them. I can go to auctions. I can go to estate sales. I can pick them up from antique shops. All kinds of various ways.
Would you call yourself an active collector or a passive collector?
I would definitely be considered an active collector. Always pursuing, always trying to find the next greatest, more cool, wonderful, unique item I've ever seen. So.
And do you collect any of these particular items for, let's say, fun?
Do I collect anything for fun? Look around. Yeah, I do collect things for fun. I do collect things for the future, but mostly I collect and buy and sell to put food on the table.
So what are some things that you do when you're not focused on collecting? What do you do for fun?
I collect. That's what collectors do.
So you're just a collector full time, huh?
That's what we do. We collect, we read, we think about collections and where a collection is and what the next new unique item is, and we think, wow, where can I find it? That's what I do for fun. Yeah.
Okay. Would you say that there's like a holy grail for your collection?
A holy grail.
Anything that you really wanted to get or you really have your eyes set on getting?
Well, I have great items now, but I always want something bigger. I always want something better. I'm always hoping to find the next cool item. But yeah, I have some good paintings that I've held on to for several years. I have a few collections of Chinese items I've put back that I think, yeah, they could be important.
So tell me what it is that you understand about perceived value.
Perceived value is personal. It's what you think is important to you at that moment. I mean, why is it that, we go after childhood memories? Why is it that real estate in one market is greater than it is in another market? How come someone else has to buy a vehicle with four wheels for $250,000 and somebody has to buy one for $250? It's what's important, and it's where you see it as important. Why are you willing to give what you want to give at that time to get it? It's personal. It's very, very personal.
There was a particular story where my I don't know if Chris told you or not, but where my teacher in college used to take a dollar bill and he would sell it for he'd start the betting off at a penny, and he would sit there and you're like, all right, I got a $1 bill and I'm gonna start the betting off at a penny, and he's like, it's an auction, go for it. And so people would start bidding and bid their 1 cent, 2 cents, and they go up and quarter, 50 cents, 75 cents. He said right about when he's about 95 cents, it really starts to get quiet, and then it gets 98, 99 cents. He goes, then inevitably someone's like $1, $1, $2, $3, and he said that he never sold a dollar for less than $20, and he said that the reason why is because it went from people trying to get the best deal on it to now I've got to win this dollar. And he kind of talked to us a little bit about the whole perceived value thing and how when we look at things that we desire, like we can put. Yeah, you could see something that's like $20 online, something you really want. You're like, man, I would pay $100 for that, and how just hitting the right person can be very beneficial to someone who's wanting to make some money. So
sure.
Can you tell me what perceived value, what role perceived value plays in your job?
Well, in my job, the opportunity is for the value to always increase. I mean, if I take it to auction, you're willing to possibly give more that day for what it is because you want it. And you can't leave without it. So for me, nothing gets my heart flowing more, gets the adrenaline going, gets me excited than knowing that I've got a room full of people and I have two that aren't going to leave without it. And that's when it's my turn to start talking.
So do you ever do you ever play off the perceived value to help drive the value of items up?
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the only one I have today. I offer classes. Hate for you to miss. You know, you can show up tomorrow morning for my wish you coulda shoulda room. You know, sir, I would hate for you to have to go home with that young lady tonight and explain to her why another $100 you couldn't see sharing that with her today. I mean, that would just be hard. So absolutely, you know, guys, we've waited all this time. I don't know if you've ever seen another one. We're going to sell it today. You're in or out. Yeah, the opportunity, you got to buy now.
Have you ever met anyone in particular who's like really good at like you kind of look at as being sort of like almost inspirational, being able to drive that value up?
Absolutely.
You're like, man, I wish I could drive it like that guy.
I saw an auctioneer just last January, one of my mentors in the business, and he's, 20 plus years my senior, but works a room better than anyone. And as 3 women were fighting over a so-called supposable cocktail diamond ring, all with clusters, not a lot of value, but looked good. And this one woman is staring at it, and they're at, $10,000. And she's going to have to bid $10,000. And the husband behind him waves his hand, and she's standing there, and she's trying to get the auctioneer's attention as he hits it up for $11,000, and the other woman's deciding not to share it. She's trying to make sure she's in, and he kind of says, "Ma'am, I just can't take your bid because I already sold it to your husband right behind you." And at that moment, the room applauds, people cheer, and the rest of the room is all excited the rest of the day to bid plenty of money because all the emotion is already out there. Wow. And good auctioneers, don't take no for an answer. When they tell you no, that's when it's your time. You come alive. You're there to sell, and that's what I'm hired to do. So.
Right. So is there anything out there that you would say that doesn't contain any type of perceived value? Is there anything you couldn't sell at an auction?
Yeah, we wouldn't sell, what was it, Bundy? We wouldn't sell Bundy's clown paintings one time at auction.
Actually, let me ask you about that. So, there's obviously some things that you wouldn't sell. You mentioned the Bundy paintings. Like, what is it that makes you decide what you will and will not auction off?
Well, for me, there are several things, several criteria for what I will and won't auction off. One is do I assume or that anyone will care about any of that stuff, and why would I waste my time bringing it to the market when the value of it is minimal in my opinion? So sometimes I use my opinion. The other is I have morals and standards, and sometimes you have to decide whether or not you want to, even though there may be a value out there, you have to decide whether or not it's something that you feel that you can carry on or live with. At that point, we decided, no. We'll make our money some other way.
So what are some aspects in general about collectors that really stand out to you?
They love the stuff, and they are passionate about what they like. Because if they didn't like it, who would? And to them, it becomes important, and they all have it. They all have it in their own unique way, from a lady who collects Beanie Babies to a man who builds a 40-door car garage. They are collectors at heart. So they are a unique breed.
So have you ever ran into someone who tried to buy back their own collection?
Well, yes, and that happens through courts, unfortunately, most of the time. When you are forced to sell your collection in this country because you owe the IRS or the bank money, yes.
Okay.
That's when you are actually free to participate a lot of times in purchasing items back. And happens regularly in this country. From real estate to personal property, you can buy it back sometimes on pennies on a dollar, but that is how the system works. So yes, I've ran into those people. And then people that, unfortunately have, say they're the sibling or a son or daughter of someone who is deceased, and they want to purchase things that were within their parents' home and can't. unless it goes through the court, unless it comes back, and then they have to buy it back. But yeah, most of the time people don't always want to give up what they own. I mean, lots of people I encounter, unfortunately, don't want to have to sell what they have. I guess it's 50-50. Sometimes you're forced to, and that's a hardship. And sometimes you just decide, okay, it's time to move on. But you get it both ways.
So I imagine emotions can run pretty high sometimes.
Emotions run high. Emotions can run high.
Have you ever seen someone try to bid on their own thing and on their own, I guess, objects, then lose and then just completely lose it emotionally?
No, I can't say I can right off. No. But I have had plenty of people say, again, I have a class, wish you coulda, shoulda. Man, I should have gone one more bid on that last night. I can't believe I didn't buy it. I should have done it. I know it. It's going to kill me. Yeah, you do get that one. But not normally from people who emotionally want their own stuff, but definitely from people who say, man, it's killing me. I didn't sleep.
So how would you define nostalgia?
Anything we find emotionally attachable to. I mean, at any point in our life. I mean, if you're 20 years old and you run into a childhood friend when you were 7, 8, or 9, you talk about, gosh, what it was like to play at that park at that time. Do you remember so-and-so? Or when you get older, you think of music is horrible today. Do you hear the garbage they listen to? What about what we listen to in movies? And gosh, remember how good Little House on the Prairie was? Yeah. Nostalgia to us is emotional attachment in many ways. And we draw near to that. That's where we create value. We find that emotional connection to something in our life and draw it in.
Okay, so I guess follow-up question then. Do you think that this particular generation is more nostalgic than, let's say, generations in the past? I just keep thinking about how it seems like people in our generation, the ones that grew up in the 80s, they're the ones that are making the movies about the Transformers, the He-Mans, the stuff that we grew up with. And so, but back in the past, thinking about in the past, what people were growing up with, I don't seem to see as much of that. So would you think that nostalgia tends to run higher in this particular generation than?
By no means.
You don't think so?
You're just getting old.
Okay, that could be it too.
Because when I was young, they were making Rambos and Red Dawns and war movies still off of those concepts of that time, and Star Wars was just coming out. But now you just have another generation coming along, and the next generation changes. And what I found valuable 10 years ago that I used to collect, that 20-something young lady that works for me could care less about it. And the next generation comes along. I found a great article a little while back from the 1960s that showed a woman sitting in a Tiffany Studios Art Nouveau antique shop. Well, that would have only been 50 years difference from the 1960s to the 19-teens and 10s and early 1900s when they were creating all this great American glass and Art Deco and Art Nouveau pieces. She's sitting in this thing like she's the coolest thing in all the land. Well, just think, if that's you today, 40, 50 years ago, that's 1960, 1970. That was, that's how we perceive it. It just changes. It goes through a metamorphosis. It's always going to be another group. There's always going to be another group that has more money, the next generation out of college, the next kid starting a family, the next one that's able to buy their childhood back. And that's where you start. That's where you can start. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I heard they were making another Power Rangers movie, and I'm like,
Teenage
that's
Mutant Ninja
just
Turtles. Yeah.
Power Rangers is just that age when I really stopped caring about TV shows and cartoons. So now it's going to be everything. Now you're going to start seeing the SpongeBob movies and the
sure
live action movies. Absolutely.
You wait.
So what would you see is the coolest thing you've ever auctioned off?
I have auctioned off some rare, wonderful collections. A baseball autograph collection of 300,000 signatures, all collected by correspondents. Wow. An artifact that sold for $220,000. Bronzes for $30,000. Bat boats. But I think the coolest that I'm the most proud of, because I helped solicit it and found it, was in Wilbur Shaw's desk Wilbur Shaw was the vice president and president of the Indiana Motor Speedway, was found in the 1970s. They took his desk apart, and there were two 1909 inaugural Indianapolis Motor Speedway posters.
Wow.
The only one that was ever known to exist up to that point, and still to this day besides those two, is in the Library of Congress.
Wow, that's amazing.
And so it sat there, unfiltered, totally mint, beautiful condition, and we got to sell it. And I had 9 phone bidders. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway had never seen one besides that one, and it actually sold to a European collector.
I know racing fans can be some of the biggest collectors out there. There's so much, everything from IndyCar to NASCAR to F1 to all kinds of stuff that people just, will just pay hand over fist for. I mean,
Sure.
that's pretty good. So what is a really neat story about your job that you've told people that you can share with us?
Neat story is I got to sell a superhero museum collection once.
Wow.
Everything from original costumes to drawings to even a bat boat and a Batmobile. And only had one Batmobile that day. Did great. And we sold the Batmobile. But the unique thing was when I was then going through television promotions and contracts, and I was going to California and shooting different shows, I met an attorney. And the attorney I met said, "You don't know me, do you?" I said, "Well, no." He goes, I'm the guy that bought the bat boat." I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And I was just out kind of calling through trying to find people to look over my contracts. And he's like, "Come on by anytime. Sure, I'll take care of you." So that was really cool. And I've had some great stories. I met some great people. I've fell in love with people. I bought beautiful items. I've made some dear friends that I still stay in contact with. So I get to give back a lot in this business.
Well, that's cool. What kind of historical items have you ever seen auctioned off?
I've seen presidential signatures. I've seen John Lennon's handwritten notes to songs off of Imagine. I have seen and sold, Elvis Presley's original draft ticket that came out right after he was drafted. It was in a safe deposit box in Kentucky. So I don't know if those are historical or nostalgic, but I'm sure I have other historical things. Can't think of them right now, though.
So would you say that auctioning has changed your perspective on what other people consider to be valuable?
Absolutely. Because it's the only place price can go up. The price is not set at the auction. The price has an opportunity to rise, keep rising, and go. So yeah, it can change it. It can absolutely change it.
Is there any personal gain to perceived value to you?
Emotionally, yes. I mean, sentimentally, yes. We've had this whole discussion on what is perceived value, and it's also emotional and personal. Absolutely. If that item was your mother's and she's no longer with you, and you get to, connect with her in some way with that item, absolutely there's value there. There's value in admiring the beauty around you. There's value in admiring the beauty that others collected in museums. So, absolutely. Absolutely.
So what do you think will happen to your collection, should say, when the inevitable time comes, and what do you think will happen to your personal belongings?
Well, I can tell you what many others think will happen to theirs, and that is the kids will just throw it away for 5 cents. But I don't think that will happen to mine. I think most of the kids will choose a few things, and most likely if it were to happen soon, it would just have to be sold off because it would pay for their needs and do those things. Later it'll prayerfully either pay for my wife and I's retirement, or who knows, a college fund one day, or maybe it'll go to a museum or be donated, to a hospital, I hope. That's part of what I hope.
what would those things mean to the people who inherit your items? Do you think they would appreciate it as much as you do?
I think you only appreciate what you build. I think they can appreciate a small part of it personally, but you'll never appreciate something unless you achieve it or go after it. Or nobody cares about this Robert Indiana mug love symbol like I do. But I love Robert Indiana, and I'm so fond of, just the whole artistic beauty that he created. So no one else cares, but I care. So I don't think I can pass that on. I don't think we're meant to. I think I can influence it a bit, but I can't pass all of it.
Have you ever tried to influence your children into like the things that you really like and try to get them to sort of like the same things?
Well, absolutely. I can tell you how that's working for me. You got to be careful. You forget that, because your child wants to spend $1 on a toy that's out of a package and it's a G.I. Joe figure, and you think, well, for $5 you could buy 40 of those. What do you want to buy that one for $1 for? You have to let them enjoy their collecting. You have to let them enjoy their growth. You have to let them enjoy their moment. And I try to influence or show beauty or help them see what's taken me years to really look into an artistic world and see, but it only comes if there's a desire.
What would you say matters most to you in your life?
What matters most to me in my life? Well, I think we all know that all of this will come and go. And the reality is you better wake up, kiss the sky, thank the Lord for what you got, and enjoy the ride, because all of this will come and go. All the value that we perceive it's nothing under what my children provide me and my wife provide me and God and the church and the simple things that I get in life. Sometimes just a beer at the end of the day. It's a lot more enjoyable than fretting over all the other things that I have or don't have. And I gotta admit, that's one thing I don't struggle with a lot. As much as I look forward to collecting the next thing, I don't envy the next thing. And I gotta admit, I'm probably in a decent place in that way. I do desire to go see it or to find it, but I don't have to have it. So I'm sure mine will come. God hadn't let me down yet. I've got good opportunities. It'll come my way.
All right, well, I just want to thank you for taking some time out and just talking with me about these particular items. I know, perceived value in my own personal collection plays a huge role because, I always have to think about what I'm willing to spend on items and, look at what people are willing to, trying to sell their items for. Things like I have to perceive whether or not it's worth going into debt or sleeping on the couch that particular night for buying those things. So, but I just want to thank you for taking your time out and sharing with us a little bit of your world, and it was really awesome. So thanks.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks for talking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if you could keep your eyes open for one of those Batmobile things, I'd appreciate it.
For like $39.95 or.
Actually, we drove home the other day on Brookville Road, and the Batmobile passed us. It was at night. I was like, "What?" It was awesome.
Hang on, I send my wife a text. This is some of my favorite collectibles. These are Chinese carvings. And tail of a boys there right in the back, and you can see all the little intricate twists and carves and stands made. And then if you turn to your right up on the wall, there again, here's a dragon. Look at the intricate details of how long it would take for one man to carve that out. It's an enamel. It's Chinese enamel, or cloisonne, as it's referred to. All the inside is. Eric, come here. Pick that up. I don't know how heavy that is. Is that heavy?
I can't hold it.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yep. It's bronze and enamel work. Quite a bit of work there.
What would something like this go for?
5,000.
5,000. Huh.
Yeah.
Is this what type of? Is this like a computer? What is?
It's actually a cash register. It's a True Spirit of '76. There you can see the eagle is on the back of it. It still works. It looks like one of those watches with the red. I can't remember what it's called there. The red reading, but yeah, no, it works well. Plug it in. It'll run right up. But done in the spirit of '76 there.
Sold Evil Knievel tickets out of it.
Exactly. That's what it looks like, right? This is done by, in New York in the 1950s, they would give out art scholarships. The Guggenheim did. And this is done by Phil Callahan. He's studying in the 1950s, and you could tell it's just very Picasso-esque. It's right after that period, and he's going through art school. But great graphics and work. Not everyone can portray art in that way. It actually is very, very difficult. So, one of my latest little finds there. So yeah, this is my painting room. Basically, all these paintings have been fully described, restored. They're basically up on websites, different websites throughout the country. But this is all pretty much merchandise I have for sale right now online. So, all processed.
And what's your website?
My website is castlesandattics.com. So then we sell out of One Kings Lane, First Dibs, eBay, all sorts of decorative websites in those regards. So all kinds of beautiful pieces. This one. Like paintings. This is beautiful. Big French street scene. We do everything from French street scenes to abstracts. So, non-objective art. We do all kinds.